What happens when one of the biggest pop stars in the world sits down with one of television's most outspoken hosts, and things go completely sideways? Today we're diving into the explosive confrontation between Jennifer Lopez and Joy Behar. That left everyone stunned and ended with security escorting J.Lo right off the set of The View. This isn't your typical celebrity interview gone wrong. This is a full-blown war of words that escalated so quickly, nobody saw it coming. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment because this story has more twists than you'd expect from daytime television. The morning started like any other on The View. Jennifer Lopez walked onto the set with her usual confidence, that megawatt smile lighting up the studio as the audience erupted in applause. She was there to promote her latest project. But what should have been a routine publicity appearance quickly turned into something nobody could have predicted. Joy Behar, never one to shy away from controversy, had clearly done her homework. As J.Lo settled into her chair, adjusting her designer blazer and flashing that famous smile at the cameras, Joy was already shuffling through her notes with a look that the other hosts would later describe as predatory, so Joy began, her voice carrying that familiar edge that regular viewers know means trouble. Let's talk about your recent comments regarding working mothers in Hollywood. You said in an interview that some actresses use their children as excuses to avoid challenging roles. Care to elaborate on that? The question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Jennifer's smile faltered for just a moment, a flash of something. Surprise, annoyance, maybe both, crossing her features before she recovered. "I think you're taking my words out of context." "Joy," Jennifer replied, her voice steady but with a hint of steel underneath. "What I said was that the industry needs to create better support systems for working mothers, not that anyone uses their children as excuses." Joy leaned forward, her reading glasses sliding down her nose as she fixed Jennifer with a stare that could cut glass. "Really? Because I have the transcript right here? You specifically said, and I quote, 'Some of these women hide behind motherhood when they should be pushing boundaries.' Those are your exact words, Jennifer." The other hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah N., and Alyssa Farah Griffin, exchanged glances that spoke volumes. They could feel the temperature in the room dropping several degrees as Jennifer's posture straightened and her jaw set in a way that anyone who knew her would recognize as a danger sign. "Joy, I've been working in this industry for over 3 decades, Jennifer said, her voice taking on a sharper tone. "I've been a mother, I've been a working woman, and I've been criticized for both. What I was talking about was the need for women to support each other, not tear each other down, which is exactly what you're doing right now." The audience was dead silent now, sensing the shift in energy. This wasn't the usual playful banter, or even the heated political discussions that The View was known for. This was personal, and it was getting ugly fast. Joy's laugh was anything but amused. "Oh, so now I'm tearing you down. Jennifer, you're the one who made the comments. You're the one who decided to judge other women's choices. I'm just asking you to own up to what you said." "I'm not judging anyone," Jennifer shot back, her voice rising slightly. "But since we're talking about owning up to things, maybe you should own up to the fact that you've made a career out of attacking successful women. How many guests have you ambushed over the years? How many careers have you tried to damage with your so-called journalism?" The accusation landed like a bomb. Joy's face flushed red, and for a moment, she seemed speechless. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear into their chairs, while the studio audience began to murmur uncomfortably. "Excuse me," Joy finally managed, her voice dangerously quiet. "Are you seriously suggesting that I don't know how to do my job, that I attack women? Jennifer, I've been doing this longer than you've been famous, and I've never had to sleep my way to the top or marry my way into relevance." The gasps from the audience were audible this time. Jennifer's eyes widened, and for a moment, everyone in the studio held their breath. They had just witnessed Joy Behar cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed, and everyone knew it. Jennifer stood up slowly, her chair scraping against the floor in the sudden silence. When she spoke, her voice was ice-cold and deadly calm. "What did you just say to me?" Joy, perhaps realizing she had gone too far, tried to backtrack. "I didn't mean. I was just saying that some people—" "No," Jennifer interrupted, her voice cutting through Joy's stammering like a knife. "You meant exactly what you said. You just accused me of sleeping my way to success and implied that my Marriages were business transactions in front of a live audience on national television. The other hosts were frantically trying to signal to the producers, but the cameras kept rolling. This was car crash television at its finest, and everyone knew it was too good to stop. "Jennifer, please sit down." Whoopi tried to intervene, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen enough controversy to last several lifetimes. "Let's all take a breath and know." "Whoopi," Jennifer said, never taking her eyes off Joy. "I want to hear Joy explain herself. I want to know why she thinks it's acceptable to insult a guest on her show. I want to know why she thinks she can hide behind the guise of journalism while making personal attacks." Joy's face was now beet red, and her hands were shaking slightly as she clutched her notes. I was making a point about the industry, about how some people advance by attacking me personally." Jennifer's voice was getting louder now, and the audience could feel the energy crackling between the two women. "By suggesting that everything I've accomplished in my career is somehow illegitimate, by reducing me to nothing more than who I've dated or married." The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Sarah N. looked like she might be sick, while Alyssa Farah Griffin was staring at the table as if she could will herself to disappear. The audience was completely silent now, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Joy tried one more time to regain control of the situation. "Jennifer, you're overreacting. I was simply, what?" Jennifer demanded, stepping closer. "To the table? Simply destroying my reputation on live television? Simply perpetuating the exact kind of sexist attitudes that I was talking about in that interview. The interview you clearly didn't bother to read in full before you decided to ambush me with it." The accusation hung in the air like smoke from a fire that was rapidly getting out of control. Joy's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water, and everyone in the studio knew that this confrontation had moved far beyond anything that could be smoothed over with a commercial break or a diplomatic intervention from the other hosts. What happened next would go down in television history as one of the most uncomfortable moments ever captured on live daytime TV. Joy Behar, clearly rattled by Jennifer's direct challenge, made the fatal mistake of doubling down instead of backing down. "You know what, Jennifer?" Joy said, her voice shaking with a mixture of anger and embarrassment. "Maybe the problem isn't what I said. Maybe the problem is that you can't handle the truth about how this industry really works. Maybe you're so used to people kissing your feet that you've forgotten what real journalism looks like." Her eyes narrowed, and when she spoke, her voice was so quiet that the microphones barely picked it up. "Real journalism. Is that what you call this? Ambushing your guests with out-of-context quotes and then making personal attacks when they defend themselves. Ladies, please, we need to." "No, Whoopi," Jennifer said, raising her hand, but never breaking eye contact with Joy. "I want to hear what Joy has to say. I want her to explain to your viewers exactly what kind of journalism she thinks she's practicing right now." Joy's face was now a deep shade of red, and beads of sweat were forming on her forehead despite the studio's air conditioning. "I'm practicing the kind of journalism that asks tough questions, that doesn't let celebrities hide behind their publicists and their carefully crafted images." By lying about what I said, Jennifer's voice was getting stronger now, more confident. "By twisting my words to create a controversy that doesn't exist. By attacking my character instead of discussing the actual issues." The audience was completely captivated now, some leaning forward in their seats, others covering their mouths in shock. This wasn't just an argument. This was a masterclass in how quickly a situation could spiral out of control. Sarah N., who had been silent up until this point, finally found her voice. "Maybe we should take a commercial break." And "No," both Jennifer and Joy said simultaneously, their voices creating an eerie harmony that made everyone in the studio uncomfortable. Joy seemed to realize that she was losing control of her own show, and in a desperate attempt to regain the upper hand, she made another catastrophic mistake. "Jennifer, you're acting like a diva right now. You're proving every stereotype about pop stars who think they're above criticism." The accusation landed like a nuclear bomb. Jennifer's mouth fell open, and for a moment, she looked genuinely stunned. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. But it wasn't the warm, media-trained smile that everyone was used to seeing. This was something else entirely, something that made everyone in the studio incredibly uncomfortable. "A diva," Jennifer repeated, her voice dripping with disbelief. "Joy, you just spent the last 10 minutes attacking my personal life, my career, my marriages, and my character, and I'm the diva. You ambushed me with a misquoted interview, refused to let me explain my actual position, and then made personal attacks when I defended myself, and I'm the problem." Joy was clearly struggling now, her usual sharp wit seemingly abandoned in the face of Jennifer's relentless logic. I was just the interview speaks for itself. "Does it?" Jennifer interrupted, pulling out her phone. "Because I have the full transcript right here. Would you like your viewers to hear what I actually said instead of the edited version you decided to use?" The other hosts exchanged panicked glances. This was uncharted territory, and no one knew how to navigate it. The producers were frantically trying to signal from behind the cameras, but neither Jennifer nor Joy seemed to notice or care. Joy's voice cracked slightly as she responded. "That's not necessary, Jennifer. I think we've covered." "Oh, I think it's very necessary," Jennifer said, her finger hovering over her phone screen. "Let me read the full quote for everyone. Working mothers. Sometimes I worry that some women feel they have to choose between being good mothers and pursuing challenging roles, and that's not fair to anyone. We should be creating an environment where women can do both without judgment." "That's what I said, Joy. Where exactly is the part where I'm judging other mothers?" The silence in the studio was deafening. The audience was so quiet you could hear the studio lights humming overhead. The way it was reported," Joy started, but her voice was barely above a whisper. "The way it was reported by who?" "By gossip sites that make money off of manufactured drama. And you decided to use that as the basis for your attack without bothering to verify the facts." Alyssa Farah Griffin, clearly uncomfortable with the direction this was heading, tried to interject. "Jennifer, I think what Joy was trying to—" "No, Alyssa," Jennifer said, turning to face her. "I appreciate you trying to help, but I want Joy to answer for herself." Joy was now visibly struggling, her usual confidence completely shattered. We, the research team, your research team." Jennifer's voice was incredulous. "Don't you think you have a responsibility to verify your facts before you attack your guests?" The confrontation had moved beyond personal now. It was becoming an indictment of the entire show's journalistic integrity. Whoopi, recognizing the potential damage this could cause, made one final attempt to restore order. "Jennifer, Joy, I think we all need to take a step back here." "No, Whoopi," Jennifer said, her voice firm but not unkind. "I respect you. I've always respected you. But this isn't about taking a step back. This is about accountability. This is about the fact that Joy just spent 10 minutes attacking me based on false information. And now she's trying to blame everyone except herself." Joy's voice was barely audible now. "I wasn't attacking you. You accused me of sleeping my way to the top," Jennifer said, her voice cutting through Joy's weak protest. "You suggested that my marriages were business transactions. You called me a diva for defending myself. Against your false accusations, if that's not an attack, what would you call it?" The audience was completely silent now, hanging on every word. This had moved far beyond entertainment. It was becoming a real-time lesson in accountability and the consequences of reckless journalism. Joy looked around the table desperately, seeking support from her co-hosts, but found none. Sarah was staring. At her hands, Alyssa was looking at the ceiling, and Whoopi was shaking her head slowly. Even the audience seemed to have turned against her, their earlier murmurs of support now replaced by uncomfortable silence. I think maybe I misunderstood," Joy finally managed, her voice cracking. "You misunderstood?" Jennifer's voice was filled with disbelief. "Joy, you didn't misunderstand anything. You made a conscious choice to make personal attacks instead of having a real conversation. You made a conscious choice to try to destroy my reputation on live television." Her shoulders sagged, and for the first time since the confrontation began, she looked truly defeated. But Jennifer wasn't finished yet. What happened next would be talked about for weeks across social media and entertainment news. Jennifer Lopez, standing tall and composed despite the chaos around her, delivered what would become one of the most quoted moments in daytime television history. "Joy, I've been in this industry for over 30 years, Jennifer said, her voice steady and commanding. I've been criticized, I've been praised, I've been attacked, and I've been celebrated. But what I've never experienced is someone who claims to be a journalist, deliberately spreading false information about me, and then attacking my character when I defend myself with facts." Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Jennifer held up her hand, and the gesture was so authoritative that Joy actually fell silent. "I'm not finished," Jennifer continued, her voice never wavering. "You want to talk about divas? Let me tell you what a real diva looks like. A real diva would have stormed off this set 10 minutes ago. A real diva would have had her publicist shut this down before it started. A real diva wouldn't have sat here and systematically destroyed your arguments with facts and logic." The audience was completely mesmerized now. This wasn't just a celebrity meltdown. This was a masterclass in how to handle a hostile interview with grace and intelligence. Whoopi made one last desperate attempt to salvage the situation. "Jennifer, maybe we could—" "Whoopi, I'm going to finish what I came here to say," Jennifer said, turning to face her with a smile that was both warm and steely. "And then I'm going to leave, because I refuse to be part of this kind of so-called journalism anymore." Joy's voice was barely above a whisper now. "Jennifer, if I misunderstood, you didn't misunderstand." "Joy," Jennifer said, turning back to face her, "you made a choice. You chose to attack me instead of having a real conversation. You chose to spread false information instead of doing your research. You chose to make personal attacks instead of addressing the actual issues. And now you're choosing to play the victim instead of taking responsibility for your actions." The studio was so quiet that the sound of the camera's whirring seemed deafening. Jennifer walked around the table, her heels clicking on the polished floor, and stopped directly in front of Joy's chair. "You know what the real tragedy is here?" Jennifer said, her voice softer now, but no less powerful. "I came here to talk about supporting working mothers in Hollywood. I came here to talk about creating better opportunities for women in the entertainment industry. I came here to talk about the challenges that women face when they're trying to balance career and family. But instead of having that conversation, you decided to turn this into a personal attack based on lies." Joy looked up at Jennifer, her eyes glistening with what might have been tears. I was just—" "You were just what, Joy?" Jennifer's voice carried a note of genuine sadness now. "You were just trying to create drama for ratings. You were just trying to tear down another successful woman. You were just trying to prove that you could destroy someone's reputation on live television." The accusation hung in the air like a funeral shroud. Joy's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, and for a moment she looked like she might actually collapse. Sarah N., who had been silent for most of the confrontation, finally found her voice. "Jennifer, I think there might have been some miscommunication." "Sarah, there was no miscommunication," Jennifer said, turning to face her. "There was deliberate misinformation. There was a conscious choice to attack instead of inform. There was a decision to prioritize drama over truth." Alyssa Farah Griffin tried next. "Maybe we could start over, have a real conversation about what Alyssa—" Jennifer's voice was tired now, the adrenaline of the confrontation, finally wearing off, "about how your show just spent the last 20 minutes proving every negative stereotype about daytime television. About how your colleague just demonstrated exactly the kind of behavior that makes women afraid to speak out about real issues." The weight of Jennifer's words seemed to settle over the entire studio like a heavy blanket. The audience was completely silent, the other hosts looked devastated, and Joy appeared to be on the verge of a complete breakdown. Jennifer walked back to her chair, but instead of sitting down, she picked up her purse and adjusted her blazer. "You know what the saddest part of all this is?" she said, addressing the camera directly. "There are millions of working mothers watching this show right now who were hoping to hear a real conversation about the challenges they face every day. Instead, they got to watch a so-called journalist attack a guest with false information, and then refuse to take responsibility for it." She turned to face Joy one last time. "Joy, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you realize that being a good journalist means more than just creating controversy. It means seeking truth. It means treating your guests with respect, and it means taking responsibility when you make mistakes." Joy's voice was barely audible. "Jennifer, I'm sorry. Are you?" Jennifer's voice was sharp again. "Are you sorry that you attacked me, or are you sorry that you got caught?" Are you sorry that you spread false information? Or are you sorry that I was able to prove you wrong? Are you sorry that you made personal attacks? Or are you sorry that the audience saw through your tactics? The questions hit like hammer blows, and Joy seemed to shrink further into her chair with each one. I was just doing my job, Joy whispered. Your job. Jennifer's voice was incredulous. Joy, if this is how you think journalism works, then maybe you need to find a new job. Because what you did here today wasn't journalism, it was character assassination. And the fact that you're still trying to justify it instead of taking responsibility for it tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. With that, Jennifer turned and walked toward the edge of the set. The cameras followed her movement, capturing every step as she made her way toward the exit. But just as she reached the edge of the stage, she turned back one final time. To the viewers at home, she said, looking directly into the camera, I want you to know that what happened here today is not representative of all journalists or all television shows. There are good people in this industry who seek truth and treat their guests with respect. Unfortunately, you didn't see that today. She paused, her eyes moving from the camera to the panel of hosts and then back again. I also want you to know that the issues I came here to discuss, supporting working mothers, creating better opportunities for women in Hollywood, addressing the challenges that women face when balancing career and family, these are still important. Conversations that need to happen. I hope they happen somewhere else, with people who are more interested in seeking truth than creating drama. With that, Jennifer Lopez walked off the set of The View, leaving behind a studio full of stunned silence and a panel of hosts who looked like they had just survived a natural disaster. The cameras kept rolling for several more seconds, capturing the shell-shocked expressions of the remaining hosts before finally cutting to commercial. The confrontation was over, but the aftermath was just beginning. Within hours, clips of the exchange would be trending on every social media platform, with viewers debating who was right and who was wrong. But one thing was certain. This was a moment that would be remembered as one of the most explosive celebrity interviews in television history. What did you think of this incredible confrontation? Was Jennifer Lopez right to call out Joy Behar's tactics, or should she have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to subscribe for more incredible celebrity stories that you won't believe actually happened.